waited, slowing down, and then stopping to tap at the big yellow brick, wondering if something was wrong with the cassette. After a moment, I pulled my headphones off and realized that I was standing in a strange, perfect silence. There was no sound of rustling leaves, or my feet shifting on the road, or crickets, or anything at all. I tried to speak, but my voice was muted. Something moved at the end of the street. It was difficult to see clearly, and I was still distracted by the unexplained silence. But my first thought was, did a horse get out from a field? The figure was massive, and could easily be mistaken for a horse. However, when it stepped under a street light, I saw that it was some kind of dog. The biggest dog I'd ever seen, for certain, and it was walking towards me slowly. I began to back away. The dog seemed to keep shifting from oil black to foggy gray, and it was getting bigger with each step it took. I ran. It was a surreal series of moments. There was still no sound at all, not my shoes slamming into the asphalt, or the roar of my pulse that should have sounded like a waterfall. I sprinted down the silent road, too terrified to look back. I couldn't hear the thing's footsteps. I knew it was getting closer.
Hi, how are you, Danny Robot? Sorry,
R.E.M. whispered
I
out of the
didn't see you.
headphones.
I don't know why it doesn't pop up automatically.
Alarm shrieked somewhere a few blocks over. I risked a look back.
I didn't think
I
I
saw
was
the dog
tired, but it
stop.
looks like I'm getting
Still,
there.
I only slowed a little, then turned and walked backward, searching for the animal in the shadows along the street. Nothing. I snuck into my bedroom through the window, silently swearing to never get high again. I fell asleep with my headphones on and REM playing on low. My sleep wasn't good.
I need to
Too full of
stop
dreams
listening
and
to
twisted
REM.
things. I
Sorry you
preferred
got a
to wake
headache.
up early.
Did I give you a headache? I'm good at that.
On a Saturday. Before I got to the plane, I saw their faces. They had ugly news. Sophia was dead. Danny, Rachel, and I all met in the
No,
park
not
after leaving.
Sevilla.
We all looked awful. Even Rachel, who was always perfectly put together, had dark bags under her eyes and slight bedhead. I knew I was worse. Danny? Danny looked like he got hit by a truck. He was wearing sunglasses, but I had a strong inclination that his eyes were bloodshot to hell. An unlit cigarette hung from his lips. He kept looking around the picnic table we were sitting at, coiled and tense. Ripped apart,
Alright,
Rachel said.
it's good to
The
see you.
first words any of us spoke since we agreed to meet up. Torn apart by animals in the woods outside of her house. Jesus. How could that happen? Danny finally flicked open his stolen Zippo and lit his cigarette. You know how it happened. We called it up. You don't believe that, I said. Not sure if I did or not. You don't think a demon killed Sophia? Danny sucked on his filter for a while. I don't know, Billy boy.
What up,
I
Danny
sure as
Robot?
hell don't know.
I'm
What I
so
do know,
freaking
though,
sleepy,
is that
man.
something chased me last night. Something evil. Rachel and I shared a look. She
Something
spoke first.
evil in
Me
my
too.
head.
Some sort of, I don't know, a mountain lion maybe. Here? Danny asked, gesturing around the park. Do you see any hills nearby? Lay off, I said. Something came after me too. It was a dog. For me, it looked like a bear, Danny said, tossing his dead cigarette onto the gravel trail nearby. You know, a small bear, but nasty looking. Like the damn thing had rabies or something. The three of us sat in silence for a minute. Then the
I
silence
don't even know what
reminded me
you're
of the
saying.
night before, and I resisted the urge to panic sprint for
Are
my
you
house.
just sending
When you
eagles to
saw
me?
the animals, I began. Did it get quiet? Rachel finished. That's what you're going to say, right? Danny nodded. Silence. It was like all of the noise in the world went down some drain and left only absolute silence. He calmed himself. All right. It was a demon then that came after us. A demon that got Sophia. I shifted on the table. I don't think. Danny held up one hand in a let me finish gesture. Just for the time being. Let's say it was something supernatural. The silence is how we know it's about to attack. It seems like it comes after all of us well, all of us who were connected to it at the same time. So why didn't it kill all four of us? Rachel asked. I was surprised.
Because you're broke, bro.
Why stop after killing us? Danny stared at the ground. He only wants one of us at a time. Maybe it's like a snake. It only needs to feed now and then. Rachel sobbed. Danny observed didn't respond. He scanned the tree line, then leaned over and knocked against the picnic table 3 times. You all heard that too, right? He asked. We nodded. Okay, good. The silence is how we'll know it's around. If all the sound goes out, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you run. Run where? I asked. Danny thought about it. A church, I think. A temple, a monastery. Hallowed ground, man. Whatever is closest. You run, and you bunker down and you wait. I bet it can only hunt at night. Why do you think that? Rachel asked. It's always that way.
So freaking tired. Probably gonna go to bed right now.
You were an expert on demonology, I said, but I didn't argue. Danny was the first to leave. I'm going to do some research at the library. Just stay vigilant. If I'm right, the demon will attack again tonight. I felt sick for the rest of the day, carefully watching the sun sink lower, with my Walkman turned up to max. As soon as the music stopped, I would run. There was a church 2 blocks over from my house. I told my parents I needed to take a walk to clear my head, just so I could be close to the place at sunset. They were worried about me and made me promise not to be out late with the animal attacks going on and all. Come sundown, I was sitting on the steps in front of the church, headphones around my neck. The music still blaring. After an hour of sitting under the weak porch lights of the church, I got up and slowly started walking home. That was the worst part. The part I hadn't thought about. The part when I was most vulnerable. I moved at a fast clip, always ready to turn on my heels and sprint for hallowed ground if my music stopped. In the end, nothing happened that night, other than my insomnia growing a little stronger. Nothing happened the night after that, either. Or the week after. Or for months. Then years. My guard dropped. It was so easy to write it all off as a random attack, and the 3 of us having bad dreams. Then, 5 years to the day of Sophia's death, my music stopped playing. I was sitting on my deck watching the stars on the night of the second attack. After graduating, Rachel, Danny, and I drifted apart. Rachel went to university. Danny did a stint in the military and got tossed out for drugs last I heard. I ended up going into business with my brother right after high school. Roofing, home renovation, and general contracting. I was making good money for a guy in his early 20s back then. The night it came back, I remember I was drinking a beer and listening to the Slim Shady LP. I still carried my Walkman everywhere, though I'd upgraded to the CD version by then. It was out of habit more than anything. I rarely thought about Sophia, except for the occasional nightmare. But as soon as the music went dead right at the first chorus of Role Model, I was standing and looking around my yard. I'd just bought the house in the spring and loved the backyard. It was fenced in and brightly lit by big floodlights on the house. Hello? I tried to call out. The silence was back, and it was everything. Shadows moved at one corner of the fence. A lot of shadows. Tiny, darting things. Black specks against the fence. I felt a humming in my teeth, even though I couldn't hear it. I ran for my house. The creatures hit the glass door like hail only a few seconds after I closed it. The things were like a cross between a wasp and a bat. They had smooth, bullet bodies with segmented eyes and tattered wings. Just like the dog from years ago, the bugs shifted depending on how I looked at them. Sometimes they were black, other times brown, and occasionally a dark red. I backed away as they slammed into the glass over and over again. Cracks formed, then spiderwebbed across the door. I was sprinting down the hallway trying to decide which room to lock myself inside when I heard the glass shatter. I heard it shatter. The silence was gone. I still slipped into the bathroom and barricaded the door, shoving a towel under the seam to block it completely. After 10 minutes with no signs of the creatures, I went to check the damage. The door leading to my deck lay as a pile of glass shards on my dining room floor. I stared at it until the ringing of my phone snapped me out of it. "Hello," I whispered, looking out into my yard.
Oh, thank God.
A familiar voice said on the line.
You're okay. Billy, you're okay, right?
"Yeah, I think so. Who is this?"
It's Rachel.
"Rachel?"
Yeah, it's back, Billy. Did you?
"Yes," I said, moving some glass away from my foot. "It was just here." There was a pause.
I called you first.
Rachel said.
Danny.
My chest ached. "I'll call him and then I'll call you right back, okay?"
Okay, call as soon as you can.
I was searching through my contact book for a phone number for Danny. The first one I tried was disconnected. The second rang for several minutes before I hung up. I called Danny's parents and confirmed that the second number was correct and that he should be home. I tried the number every 10 minutes for the next hour with the same result. By the time I called Rachel back, she knew, just like I did, that we would be going to our hometown for a funeral very soon. They said that Danny overdosed, and most people believed that, but they never did tell us exactly what he overdosed on. His funeral was closed casket. I kept picturing hundreds of those wasp things